Hey guys, Carl from Purple Moose Plays. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Hickory Dickory from designer Sawyer West and publisher Plaid Hat Game. This is a sort of rondel-based action selection, pick up and deliver kind of game with a bit of tile-laying spatial puzzler as well, in which you find yourself as a sort of family of mice traveling along the face of a clock, picking up items along the way that you then deliver at other spaces, avoiding a cat that's trying to sort of swipe at you and knock you off the face of the clock. You've got another mouse that's running up the chain of the clock as well, doing all of this stuff to ultimately score points and collect certain items to fill out a tableau by the end of the game. Disclaimer, I was not given a review copy of this game, but this is the first game I'm reviewing from my sponsorship with Noble Knight Games. If you don't know Noble Knight Games, they are a wonderful online and also physical location board game retail store that also does a wonderful sort of trade and used game sort of system as well. Definitely check them out for all of your board game needs, and please make sure to use my link down below to get a little kickback to my channel to help me keep this going as well. I did use some of my sponsorship credit to pick up this game. I just wanted to put that out there for you. With all that said, let's get back to the game. Let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode in this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Hickory Dickory, begin by placing the clock board out onto the table, with the base piece of the clock hands poking through the center of the board. Next, you'll take this ring piece and place that down over top of that base, holding everything inside the board. Placing the then hour hand on top of that, followed by the minute hand, and then finally using this little lock piece to lock the hands in place on the board. Then for this solo game, the hour hand will point to 6. The minute hand starts facing the 12, and then both of these 2-player and 3-player blockers will get placed inside the minute hand as well, shortening the available space in that hand. Next, on either side of the board, I will place out these 2 sideboard extension pieces, like this, as well as this chain board. Now this chain board should extend from here down off the screen, extending the clock, but it won't fit on the screen if I do it that way. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. But again, given a lot of space on your table, this could extend off the bottom of the clock, thematically looking like the chain hanging from the clock. Next, to continue setting up the board, I'm going to take these action space tokens and place them out first. These go on the space as marked, 1, 6, 11, and 12. And then the rest of those tokens will be divided into sort of between 1 and 6 daytime, and then after 6 until 12 nighttime tokens. And those will get randomized into the 4 sections of each of those token types. Next, to set up the 3 sort of sideboards, starting here on this side, I'm going to take this deck of quest cards, giving them a shuffle, and then placing out 2 face-up cards on those 2 slots, with the rest of the deck face down at the top. On the other side, onto this spider's web here, you're going to place out all of the wild tiles with that symbol printed on them. And then from the bag containing all of the other tiles, drawing 4 of those at random, filling in those 4 slots like this. And then before filling in this favor card slot over here, I'm going to separate from the favor card deck all of the cards that have an acorn symbol in the bottom right corner, which there are 4 of. Give those a shuffle and take one of those at random for my sort of starting card, which I'll set down here. And then the rest of those get shuffled into this deck and placed in that location. Then on this chain track over here, I'm going to take this tracker and set it just here below the 9 on that board. And with that, the majority of the sort of main board setup is complete. So now I'm going to go into my own personal scoring setup. And I'm going to start by taking these 4 boards here, the hunt boards, and I'm going to shuffle those and place out one at random for me to use for this play, which is that right there. Then I also need to take the 4 mouse cards in the color that I'm using for this game. In this playthrough, I will be playing as white, just because I think white is going to stand out a little bit better on the screen for everyone to see. And you'll get these 4 different mice out on the table. I'm just going to set them off to the side here. And those are the spotter, the scavenger, the scurrier, and the scamp. And then in my player color, I'm going to get 1 meeple for each of those mice, plus the scaler. The scaler I'm going to place on the chain, or the pine cone at the bottom of the chain, because he's going to be the one that's climbing up or scaling the chain of the clock. And then each of the other mice will get placed out as shown down here at the bottom of my board. So first, the scurrier will get placed out at space 7, like that. My scavenger will get placed out at space 4, like that. My spotter will get placed out at space 9, over here. And the scamp actually starts off of the board. I'm just going to place him on his own card. The scamp won't come out until at some point in the game I take this action, but I'll explain that after I get into gameplay. Then finally, this last token is my score tracker, and will get set down here at the start of the score track. The only other components for the game are this 50-point token, so that I can track when I've lapped the 50-point track, or 50-point spot on the scoring track. I'm just going to stick it there at 50 points, and when I've scored that much, I will take that. Next, we've got these 2 cat paws, which in the solo mode I'm going to place out very shortly, so I'm just going to leave those right there for now. And this associated 10-sided die that goes with, 12-sided die that goes with those claws. And then finally, there is this sort of player aid that helps explain how scoring is going to work in the game, but also on the back of that card, there is a QR code that takes you to a web app that will actually do scoring for you. I'm not going to use that all the time, but I will make sure to show you how that works when I do make use of that later on in the game. I'm just going to stick that up there because there's some space out of the way. And then finally, before I do get into play, I did just realize there is one major thing that I did forget to do, and that is seating tiles at each of the different clock locations marked with one of these green leaves on the board. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and then we'll be all ready to get into gameplay. And for now, I'll set that bag up here in the corner, and I did say that was it, but actually one last thing. For the solo mode in particular, the cat paws will get placed out before the first round of the game starts. And the way that's going to happen is I'm going to roll this 12-sided die, and whatever number I get, in this case 9, I will place out a cat's paw. And in this case, you'll see right off the bat, this one contains my mouse. Anytime a cat's claw goes where a mouse is, that mouse gets scratched and runs to the next space. They would lose a tile if they had anything in their bag, but at the start of the game, I don't have any. So rolling for the second claw, 2. This goes here, and I'll explain how that works in just a minute, but you can see that the 2 locations that contain the claw for right now are spaces that I won't be able to use during gameplay, at least in the current situation. So with that, we are all set up for gameplay. So let me explain how the game plays, and then I will go ahead and get started. So the solo game of Hickory Dickory plays out over 6 rounds, tracked by the hour hand of the clock. And on a round, we're going to go through basically 12 ticks of the clock. And the tick of the clock is going to look like this. The minute hand is going to move to the next 5-minute marker. Then if there are any mice on the minute hand itself, they will activate. And then any mice that are at the inner space of that location will activate. And in the case like this tick right now, when there are no mice either on the minute hand or on the action space, nothing will happen. Likewise, when we get here on our next tick to the cat's paw, nothing is going to happen, but if I did have a mouse on the minute hand that is going past the cat's paw, then I will, in the solo mode, be rolling to activate that cat's paw again, potentially moving it to a different location, and or potentially landing on that same space again, scratching the mouse that is on the minute hand at that location. So why am I doing that? Well, basically there are 5 different ways I'm going to be scoring the game. And the first main in-game scoring way is that I'm going to be collecting these different items scattered around the clock and then delivering them. And to deliver them, I have to take them to one of the locations that shows this bag becoming points, here or here. And when I do that, I will change in all of the items that I have on that specific mouse and score points. And the way that we're going to score points is shown here on this card. But basically, I'm going to score 1 point for each of the tiles that I have on my player board for that mouse. And then I'll score an additional 1 point for each item in the largest group of same symbols. So in this case, in the picture, there are 3 buttons. So I'd score an additional 3 points for that group. And then same thing for color. So in this case, the largest group is 2 yellow, so that would score an additional 2 points. So here would be 4 for the 4 tiles, 3 points for the 3 buttons, 2 for the 2 yellow, 4 and 3 and 2 would get me 9 points for that delivery. In addition, while I'm making a delivery, if I'm able to turn in tiles or deliver tiles matching one of these quest cards, I will then also get the point score for that specific combination as well. So right now I'm trying to get an orange marble and a purple thread for this one, or 2 threads of any color and a button of any color for 7 points on that quest card. In addition, after delivering those tiles, if possible, if I have any matching spaces on my player board, I will then slot those tiles into the space that's matching. And this is going to trigger endgame scoring. Any completed row or column that I've completely filled in by the end of the game will score me an additional 5 points, as you can see printed here at the bottom of the board. So as I'm collecting things and delivering things, I'm trying my best to be getting tiles that match the things here so that I can place them on here and potentially score more points at the end of the game. Now, while I am talking about picking up these tiles and delivering them, you will see I have 4 mice, and anytime we pick up a tile, that tile must fit inside the bag of that mouse. So here this guy's got 4, 5, 4, and then only this guy has 2 spaces in the bag. And I can only ever hold that many tiles at any one time before delivering them, except if I pick up a tile that doesn't fit in my bag, I do have the ability to swap something else out. So I can take a tile that doesn't fit and then discard something that I already had in order to sort of make that combination of colors and symbols better to score more points at the delivery. The other 2 ways we're going to score points are this chain right here. Anytime I trigger spaces like here 3 chain, over here 1 chain or 2 chain, I'm going to move this meeple, this piece up the chain, and anytime I hit a space that has a point value next to it, I will score those points. So in this case, 1 point, 2 points. And then when I get to the top of that chain on this leaf, I'll slide back down and this will move up. So I'll score that 9 points, and then the next time that would become 7 and so on. So pushing this scalar up the chain is another way to score points. Finally, the last way to score points is something that I can't show you currently, but there are some gold tiles in here that represent relics that I need to deliver up here to Lord Cuckoo at the top of the clock. So if I get off at this location, I could deliver relics to Lord Cuckoo, and I score 5 points for each relic that I deliver in that way. So let me talk a little bit more about what's going on in this board and how the board works, and some of this extra stuff over here, and then I'll get into gameplay. So basically, as I said, as the ticks go to where they go, I'm going to activate mice on the minute hand and then mice at the spot. If there's a mouse on the minute hand, I can choose to jump off the minute hand, triggering the outer sort of action at that location, and if I'd like to, optionally taking that tile into the bag of the mouse that's at that location. If there's already a mouse at the inner ring of that location, they can choose to either do that same thing and activate that outer ring, or instead, they can choose to hop on to the minute hand, riding it to a future space instead. And you'll notice that this minute hand only has 2 slots. Most of the mice will take up 1 slot, but this guy here, the scavenger, is a bigger mouse and will take up 2 spaces. So if at any point he's riding on that and another mouse decides to jump onto that minute hand, that will force him or push him off of the hand. And in the case that you're pushed off of the hand, you're allowed to either land at the space where you've been pushed to or the space 1 space before your current location. Otherwise, when you normally jump off of the minute hand, you must land where you are, unless you are jumping with the scurrier. The scurrier's ability, as printed here at the bottom of the card, shows 0 to 2, means the scurrier can choose to jump ahead 1 or 2 spaces off of that arm instead, and that's also true if the scurrier is pushed off the minute hand. They can still choose to jump ahead 1 or 2 spaces. The other ability that we have that I should talk about as I'm talking about this is related to one of our actions. So I'll talk about that in just a minute, but the spotter has a special advanced sort of search action, which I'll talk about when we get to search in just a second. So let's start at this one space, and I'll work my way around showing what all of the actions do. This one is unique. This one says I can spend 1 tile from my bag to activate the scamp. And when I activate the scamp, the first time that scamp will come onto the board, and I get to place it on any location on the outer edge of that location, instantly triggering that action. At that point, the scamp then becomes a 4th mouse that plays normally on the clock, but also anytime somebody triggers that again, the scamp will then move to any location on the clock, again triggering the outer location. So if I'm smart about the way that the scamp goes, I could activate the scamp, potentially placing him, for example, here, and then someone else could get knocked off back there or something similar to have that scamp then get placed a second time in that turn. And you'll see that in some of these cards there will be actions that are that same scamp activation. This next one that's hiding under the cat's claw is the search that I mentioned before. And the search means I'm going to draw a number of tiles from the brown bag over here equal to the number shown next to that search. So in this case, that's 1 search. I'll simply draw 1 tile at random from the bag. However, if that search is being done by my spotter, I'm actually going to draw 1 additional tile and then place 1 back into the bag. So in this case, I'd be drawing 2 tiles and keeping 1. Or in this case here, which I'll get to in a second, where I spend 1 tile to search for 2, I'd be drawing 3 and keeping 2 if I used the spotter. This next one lets me spend 1 tile to come over here to the spider web. And when I come to the spider web, by spending 1 tile in this case, I can choose to either take 1 of these wild tiles or take any 2 of these tiles down here at the bottom. And the wild tiles are just that. The wild tiles represent all colors and all symbols, which means when I'm delivering, they're automatically included in my majority symbol and my majority color. And also when I place them out on the board, they can be placed anywhere I'd like to. And in addition to that, they count as any one item on any of the quest cards as well. So these are very powerful to have, but again, you can only take 1 of them when you come to the web, whereas I could take 2 of these randomly placed tiles instead. Here is the 3 chain that I mentioned, just goes up 3 on the chain. This one will allow me to draw more favor cards, which I'll explain in just a second. Here's my first delivery. Here I go up 1 on the chain, and then I can spend 1 tile to do a 2 search. Here I go up 2 on the chain, and I could spend 2 tiles to come to the web, again taking either 1 wild or 2 of those randoms. Here again is a favor card. Here again is a 1 search. Here again is a delivery, and then at this location, if I have a relic, I deliver it to Lord Cuckoo and get 5 points plus 1 favor card for delivering a relic. And then in addition, I immediately jump 1 to 3 spaces ahead, means these 3 locations, and also trigger the action at that location as if I had jumped off at that spot. So the only thing left to talk about is the favor cards. And these are all going to generally have 2 things printed on them, which is going to be some kind of action that I can discard to use on any mouse's turn for that mouse. Or instead I can use this as 1 good of that type. And now this 1 good of that type will only matter for the scoring calculation. It will also matter for any quest card, but whatever that is will not be placed out on this board. So it is just an additional thing for this scoring as well as for those quests. So that's basically it for the general flow of the game, except when a mouse is on the clock hand as it passes a cat's paw, I will roll to move that cat's paw. In addition, whenever the minute hand hits the 12, the hour hand will move forward 1. I'll reseed any empty locations with new tiles, as well as down here and then I will re-roll to replace the cat's paws. And again, if the cat's paw lands at a location where our mouse is at that point, they will be bumped and will need to drop one tile. It's also worth mentioning that anytime two mice are at the same location, they can freely trade tiles between them. And otherwise, at the end of the 6th round, when the minute hand hits 12, the game will instantly trigger the end game. And at the end of the game, again, I'm going to score 5 points for every completed column or row on my player board. And after having done that, I will also score any tiles that remain in any mouse bag all together as one final delivery. But again, that delivery does not get placed onto my board. It just gets the normal delivery scoring. It also does not trigger any quests. Again, just the delivery scoring for that final delivery. And then as this is the solo mode, my goal is by the end of that 6th round, I need to have hit 100 points in order to have won the game. So we've already done our first 2 ticks. Let's continue moving. Here, nothing happens. Here, I've got the scavenger, which means I can either choose to take this button and 3 chains or hop on to the clock. And at this point, I like that. I will move to the outer edge, taking that purple button because I do need a purple button. And a purple button could trigger this thread over here if I can get 2 threads in his bag. And he's got a big bag, so that's good. Then I get 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, which pushes this to 1. And we keep going, nothing, nothing. Here, I've got the scurrier, which means I can focus here and get 1 chain and spend a tile to grab 2 random tiles. And at this early point in the game, I think that's not a bad idea. So basically, I'm going to take that blue marble, throw it back into the bag, and draw 2 at random. And I've got a blue thread and an orange die. Blue thread is great for me. The orange die I don't really need, but that's no worse than I was before. And remember, I'll still get points for that orange die when it's delivered. Sorry, so they get moved out there. And that means I also get 1 more on that chain. Keep going, tick, tick, tick. The spotter could search here and also take a yellow button. I don't need a yellow button for any reason. And if I jump on here, then when I get to this point, I can get the purple thread, which I need, but also I can get my 4th mouse out on the board. So I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to jump on there. Then we tick, tick. That's the end of the 1st round. This advances 1 hour. And I re-roll for cat paws. 1. That's a shame, but not necessarily because that might move when he moves there. And 5. Like that. Then refilling all of the locations that I took from, and all of the mice, all of the mice come back into the center of the clock for the next round. All right, then we tick to 1, and because I've got a mouse passing a location where a cat's paw is, we're going to roll to move that cat's paw. Let's hope it's anything but a 1 or a 4 right now because I don't want him to move. I want that thread. Of course, it's a 4, so he gets bumped and loses that button, unfortunately. So that button goes back into the bag and moves to the next non-covered ring space, which is here, like that. And he doesn't do anything, he just moves there. But that does mean that this is clear, so that's great. He's going to jump off and take that there like that. And then if I want to, and I do want to, I'm going to spend that thread to place out my scamp somewhere. So what am I trying to get? I've got a blue thread right now is the only thing I'm looking at, which means I'd love some blues. Potentially that's not a bad thing to do. All right, I'm going to come here, and I'm going to return that tile to take 2 from here. And I want a button, and I want that orange thread because both of those are things, no they're not. But that's okay. The orange thread I need. I could take a purple die or a purple marble instead and let somebody else focus on things. Yeah. I'm not taking that button. I'm gonna take orange thread I've got a blue thread coming, so let me get the purple die instead. Like that. We keep ticking around past the cats. There's no mice, so they don't stop. Back to him. He's not delivering because he's got nothing, and delivering that would get me 3 points only, so that's not worth it. He jumps back up. Like that. And here's where things get interesting. Ticking here. He goes first. He can choose to stay on here or jump off here to take this action. But if he stays on, and this guy decides to jump on, then he gets pushed off. And if he gets pushed off, he could choose to go here or here. Again, I didn't want to go there. So I'm going to jump him off, take that orange die, which I don't need, to return it to it, and take 2 more search tokens. Which I've got a yellow thread and a purple die. And I need that purple die and yellow thread, so I'm good. And that also lets me go up 1 on the chain, like that. All right, then he's gonna jump on. And, I don't need an orange die. A yellow thread would be nice, but if I'm pushing for him to get that, I don't care. A button wouldn't be bad though, but that's the wrong color. Yellow marble I don't need. Yellow button I don't need. Yeah, orange button could be nice for this. All right, what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna tick all the way around to here. But before I end that, because this ends after he takes his turn at this location, he's gonna jump off, but this is the scarier, so he can jump ahead 2 spaces. So he's jumping here, taking that orange marble, and drawing 1 more for this search, which is, ooh, a relic. Interesting. Not great because I need the purple thread, but we'll see what happens in a minute. Then, that's the end of the round. All of the mice come back to the middle. Like that. All of the spaces refill. We we move that forward to 8. Rolling for the cat goes to 1. Ouch. That means they get bumped to there and lose 1 something. They don't have anything, yay. The other claw also at 1, that's cool. And that's the start of the next round. So, moving to 2. I do need purple marbles. And this guy's on a search action means he gets extra search ability. So he's gonna do that to take a purple marble and to search for 2 things, keeping 1. I drew a blue die, which I could need, or yellow marble. I don't need that, so I'm gonna take the blue die. And it looks like I forgot to put 1 out there. Like that. All right, then he's hopping on, for sure. Coming here, at this location, 1 of them is gonna stay. Because I need another purple, no I don't. But if I take that purple, he's out of space. All right, so I'm jumping off here, which means I take that, which I can't hold anyway, and I trade it for 2 things. No, I don't. That's silly. Hold on. No, I don't. I don't need that at all yet. He jumps on. Moving to the next space, an orange thread. I don't need the orange thread, but moving that 3 up is nice to do. Purple die. Yeah, It may be silly, but I'm gonna do it. He jumps off, the scamp. Takes the orange thread and actually returns the purple die. That's maybe stupid because I'm placing 1 last thing here, but that means he's gonna score 2 extra points for that. And then moving up 3, 1, 2, 3, I pass the 2, 1, 2. Then continuing here, I am jumping off to take that purple thread and 1 of these cards, which is 2 chain and a blue die. And let's see, I don't need the orange die, so I'm going to replace the orange die with a purple. Yeah. Orange marble with a purple. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to replace that like that. Good. He's done. He needs to deliver the next turn. They both do. Continuing here to the big guy. Yeah, I'm going to jump off there to take that purple thread, because now he has 2 threads. If he can get a button, he's getting closer to that. And then he goes up 1 here, which resets there and gets me 9 points. Which goes to 12. And he can trash 1 thing to take 2 at random from there. What am I trashing? Yeah, let's do it. I'm placing the purple die back in. That may be a mistake, but we'll see what happens. And I get a yellow feather and an orange feather. I don't need either of those, but the yellows are good for that, and potentially I could trade things in later on for him. Then we continue back to there. Mice move in, tiles refresh. I'm not doing great right now, but we'll see what happens. Cats move, 7, ouch, to there, ooh, which actually might not be, no, that's not great. I will lose the orange feather, because it's not meaning anything right now. The other cat goes 4. Ouch. Scamp gets pushed to here and loses something. That's also not great. Then, coming here, blue marble. It's not a bad idea, because then he also gets a chance to search. He pulls 2 and keeps 1, which is a purple feather or a green die, or yellow die. I need both of those things. I've got this marble, I've got this blue, I've got this. Let's stick, but hold on, that, and green die. Yeah. Means that row is almost done, except for that, which I'll get in just a second. Perfect. Done. Moving past that cat to here. It wouldn't be a bad idea to get another one of those before I deliver. So let's let this little guy pick that up like that and get another card, which is an orange marble or a 3 chain. 3 chain is huge. Then he's going to jump on. Question is, where is he delivering? Here or there? Both yellow feather and yellow marble are not things I need, so I might as well do it here to give me more options next turn. I go there, I'm delivering. But if I want to claim the tile, I have to claim it now. And I don't want to lose this. And I need those for a thing, and I want that for my board, so I'm not taking that tile. And then I'm selling a purple thread, a blue thread, an orange marble. The crown stays there unless I go up here with it. So, and I think I forgot to advance the hour hand. Let me sell first, and then I'll figure it out. All right, so then, purple thread, blue thread, orange marble means 1, 2, 3 tiles. Then these 2 colors, or sorry, 2 symbols match, so 4, 5. And then there's only one of every color, so +1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, plus I did the orange marble purple thread. So I flip that. There, blue thread, green marble. Doesn't help right now. But I take 5 points for that, going to 23. This purple thread gets placed there. The blue thread, I can choose where to place it. I'm going to go there. Orange marble goes back to the bag because it's no good. That's his turn. All right, then I did realize this should be at 9. I forgot to advance it. We're good again. Moving past the cat with no mouse, nothing happens. To this guy. He needs a yellow button. Well, he needs a button for his quest. And actually, coming here is not a bad idea. I don't need a yellow button for my thing, but that yellow matches his yellow here, which will score an extra point. And he gets to search for one something, which fills up his bag, which is great. And he gets a yellow marble, which I also don't need, but more yellow is not a bad thing. Which means he did jump off there, sorry, and he's there, finishing that. 10 o'clock. Mice come back in, refilling places. Cat's moving. 8 goes there. One more. 2 comes over here. Ouch, he gets bumped again. I really don't like this. I need those, I need that. Yeah, bye-bye green die. We're running out of time to get stuff out on the board, so we got to start doing that. So, advancing to him. He needs one something. There's no purple feather coming yet. Yellow feather I don't need. Purple button would be nice if I got that. There's a yellow thread coming. There's an orange thread coming. Yeah. Yeah, the purple button might not be bad. All right, so he hops on. This goes here. Then he will hop off there, taking the purple button. And another one of these favor cards, which is a swap or a purple marble. And that swap icon is a throw. It means we can exchange items with somebody else, even if we are in different places. But this little guy's gonna hop on. He needs to sell. He might as well sell here. He can't take that because it doesn't fit. And we don't need it anyway. Selling 2 orange threads gets him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. One of those gets placed out, one of those goes away. We go up 6 to 29. And I just realized I cheated. I'm never allowed to have more than 2 of these, more than 2 favor cards. So that was a mistake. Well, I'm gonna say this, and this is cheating, and I'm sorry, I forgot that rule. Just before I took this card, I spent that to go up twice here, 1, 2. Assuming that's the order that I got them in. I don't remember, and I'm sorry if it's wrong. And now just before I take this, I spend that to go up 1, 2, 3 like that, doing 1, and I'll pay more attention. That's a mistake. Sorry. Like that. Good. Then, he hops on. He's got a relic to deliver. I think that's what he's doing this turn. But that means he can't get on here because he'll push the other guy off. Ah, yes he can. That's perfect. All right, so we go here. The cat's gonna move to 1. That's fine with me. He goes here. Means he's gonna stay on, but the big guy gets on and pushes them off. But remember, the scarier can jump ahead, so I'm gonna jump ahead to there anyway, triggering that, which means I deliver this one. But before I do that, I want to use one of these. I'm going to use that to search in the bag and take one something, which is a green thread. Green, yellow, I keep switching colors. Yellowish green. And then delivering that crown there, getting 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Taking one of these cards, which is a search and a purple feather, which is a shame because I really want that real purple feather. And then they get to jump ahead 1 to 3 spaces, but both of these are blocked, so the only place I can come is here. So I will. taking that purple dye, which I do need, but I'd rather a blue thread, though a wild is nice too. Purple dye I need. Yeah, I need the purple dye, and the yellow thread is also important, but so is the blue thread. Yeah, I think for now I'm just gonna stop and let it stay. All right, then he's gonna move to here and hop off there. Taking a yellow marble, he doesn't need that, so it stays there. Although realistically, no. Taking the yellow marble, discarding the yellow marble, because then it's going to get replaced with something that might be nicer later. And now he's going to sell. Now I promised you before that I'd show you how that app works, and I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to do that right now. Loading up the app, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch all of the things that this guy is holding. Means yellow thread, yellow feather, purple thread, yellow button, and yellow marble. And then all I need to do is hit equal, and it will total me up, and it says I've got 11 points. So from 35, we go to 46 points. Then we place things out. Purple thread I don't need. The yellow button, sorry, yellow marble I don't need. Hold on. Thread button also got triggered. I just threw away the purple thread, yellow button gets me that for 7 points. And 46, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gets me this 50 plus 3. Next one of these is a yellow thread and an orange button. Finishing here, yellow button goes nowhere, yellow feather goes nowhere, yellow thread does. And I do have a purple button, so that's a must do. Like that. We finished at 12, the mice reset. Filling in holes. Then, cats reset. A 5. Ouch. They're really hitting me this time pretty bad. He gets hit and loses something. I need all of those things. But let's say, I am going to get the purple feather. And I've got a purple dye there. So that's good. Then blue marble or blue dye. Do I get 2 blue threads? I don't think so. So let's get rid of the blue dye. Am I gonna get a blue marble and a purple dye? Yeah. Yeah, okay, then we'll get rid of the blue dye, unfortunately, that's sad. Rolling again. 3. Ouch. Hits again, moves there. Yellow thread and purple dye, both of which I really want to have, but I'm not sure I'm getting the blue thread, so that goes away. Cat is really doing its job this game. Okay, then, coming around to this guy now. I want that purple dye. Yeah, this is not good, but it is what it is. Okay, I don't stay there for sure, because I want that purple dye placed here, and if I don't place it now, it won't. But I need 2 of them. I needed 2 of them. Yeah, not great, guys, not great. So be it. Okay, anyway, I come here, I jump off, I take the yellow feather. We're delivering 1, 2, 3, 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Actually, am I going to use either of those? Let me go back for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to spend that to pull one at random. And I got an orange feather, which is useless to me, kind of. I'm saving that because I need to throw. Okay, then that means 1, 2. Yeah, that was sad because I think that was a purple. That was a purple feather, and now I got an orange feather. Okay, anyway, now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because feathers match. 6 because nothing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. Purple dye goes somewhere. Here. Those two both go bye-bye. Like that. Then, unfortunately, he has to stay because I want him to sell stuff or deliver stuff. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the marbles, 6, 7 for the purple, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. Brings me to 26. No, 16. I can't count. Marble goes there. Button goes there, which does complete that. Blue marble goes there, which completes that as well. This guy hops on. Because, wait a minute. I just realized he went past that cat's paw. It moved to 4 anyway, so we're fine. I just wanted to double check I didn't cheat. Moving around here, he has to jump there because I'll take that feather and search for one something, which is an orange button, meaningless. Unless I had a yellow thread, which I don't. The reason is I'm using my throw, and I can give both of those to this guy. Then, arrow comes to him, he goes here, takes that one, and delivers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. That goes there. Those two both go bye-bye. And then we hit here, and I realize I forgot to advance the clock again, because that should be going to 12 right now. So that is then ticking to 12, and that is the end of the game. But at the end of the game, I am scoring points for one row here and one row here is an additional 10 points, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And unfortunately, I finished with a score of 82, needing 100 to win. Those cats were brutal to me this game. I don't think I've ever lost that many tiles in a playthrough before. I'm sorry for the couple of mistakes that I made throughout the playthrough, but I think I caught everything relatively well, and I will definitely make sure to put things in subtitles. You will have seen that already, obviously, at this point of the video. But with that, I do finish at 82. So at this point in the video, I do like to take a look at the components. I love the way that this game looks, feels, interacts, works, etc. Starting with these tiles. If you've ever played Libertalia from Stonemaier, these are the same kind of Bakelite style tiles that you had in that game. They feel really nice. The colors are super poppy, although I do keep saying yellow or green. This is kind of a greenish yellowish color, but anyway, the symbols are very clear. The colors are very poppy and very unique colors from each other. Digging around in this bag, I think you can hear that. Feels really good pulling the tiles out. The bag is very nicely sized, so I can feel very comfortable putting my hand in and pulling out a big handful of tiles. The card quality here, no linen finish. They are very glossy quality, but they're nice thick cards. They're mini cards. If that bothers you, I'm sorry that bothers you, but I don't mind it, and they're very clear as far as what the iconography and so on is showing. This board here where I'm placing the tiles is dual layered, which is great because everything slots in. It would have been nice to have that here as well, but these are just cards, and that would take up a whole lot more space and cost a whole lot more money to have made all of these mice dual layered. But while we are speaking about the mice, I do love that each mouse is unique personality, or as far as abilities are concerned, and they each have their own cool little mini that does represent them very well. I love custom wooden pieces, and those don't disappoint at all. This clock mechanism is very cool. Now, putting the base into the board has done a little bit of damage to the board just because it folds in. The board is a quad fold board and it folds in a weird way, so getting this up and under and through the hole with the floppy folding board does mean you risk a little bit of sort of pulling the laminate off the board. But once it's in there and locked in with this lock, it's super sturdy and really easy to turn around. And these little locking bits that sort of make the arm longer or shorter for higher player or lower player games, very, very welcome in my opinion. Love the way it looks. I love the way that these cat paws look on the board, sort of smacking the mice as they go around. Everything fitting together. Now, if you do have the space, putting this down here at the bottom of the board, it does connect right into the artwork. You can see a little bit here. I don't have the space to slide it off the screen without hitting my tripod, but it does extend right off the bottom, and it looks really cool on the table if you have the space for it all to fit together as the clock. Again, I am very, very happy with the way that this game looks. All of the components are great quality, very nicely designed. The insert for the box looks like this. All of these actions fit inside there like that. The clock arm pieces fit in here. The boards fit on top of the actions, locking those in. All of the little cards fit into this slot right here. The player aids that I showed you slot in there. All of the mice fit in here. And then right on top of that is where this bag fits in, and all of the extra little, like these tokens and the 50-point tokens and so on, can fit into a baggie just in there. And then you can kind of see on this side of the box there's no edge, but the other three sides of the box there is. So the board sort of fits into that recessed area, covering over everything and holding everything very nicely into it. Not the most sort of unique insert by any means, but absolutely functional and very well done. So applause for that as well. Again, Plaid Hat has done wonders with the artwork on this, the design of everything. I love the way that this game looks and feels. Now beat me back up top and I'll let you know how I feel about how the game plays. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. This one is quite an interesting, unique game, and for that reason, the discussion of this game is going to be interesting and unique as well. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of different things going on in this game, and they're all connected in unique ways. So sort of the path that I'm going to use to talk about all of these things is sort of running around in my head, and I'm not sure exactly how it's going to come out. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to skip the sort of rondel mechanism for a minute. While that is a sort of core mechanism is how the game is working, it's not necessarily the core mechanism as far as how the game is playing or scoring and so on. So I'm going to sort of start by focusing on this idea of the resources or the items and relics in this game, which kind of is a sort of a pick up and deliver, but also set collection, but also contract fulfillment, but also ultimately tableau building is the wrong thing, but tile laying spatial puzzle kind of system. And let's sort of tackle all of that at once, because it is sort of the same kind of thing going on in the game, and that is, I've got 3 or potentially 4 mice moving around this system, which I'll talk about in just a minute, picking up items, picking up relics that either then get delivered to specific spaces to deliver those items for points, or to deliver the relics to Lord Cuckoo, again for points and additional stuff, which is, in this case, the favor cards, which will come out in just a second. But this core mechanism of picking up these items and delivering to a different space on the board to score points is a very interesting one for me, because the delivery bit will be based on the rondel system, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the item collection system is very interesting in that each of the different mice you have has a different sort of bag size and a number of items or relics that can fit inside that bag. So you've got the sort of main 2 mice, well, the main mouse who's sort of searching, I don't know if I can call him main, but sort of the standard mouse-sized mouse, who's got an ability to search for stuff. Again, I'll talk about searching in just a minute. He's got a bag size of 4. You've got the scurrier that also has a quick jump ahead mechanism. Again, I'll talk about that in a minute. That also has a size 4. Then you've got the scavenger whose only special ability is that he's got a big bag. He's also large and takes up extra space on the clock hand, but his bag holds up to 5 things. And then if you get the scamp, which is the 4th mouse, he's only got space for 2 items in his bag. And this is going to matter because when you're collecting items, the first main reason you're collecting items is to score points when you deliver them. And you're going to score 1 point for each item that's delivered, regardless of what that item is. But then you're also scoring additional points based on matching colors for whatever color is the majority color in your bag when you deliver. And you're also scoring extra points for majority item type for whichever is the majority item when you deliver. So if you can get a bag full of the same color and the same item, and if they're all the same color and same item, that's great as far as scoring goes for delivery. But at the same time, you're also trying to collect items that will then fit into your sort of spatial board, your player board, by the end of the game, because at the end of the game, you're scoring points based on completed columns and rows in that player board. And every time you play, you're going to get a different board because each of these boards is different, and different items will slot into different places on each of these boards. So what you're trying to find each time is going to be different. And how you sort of balance which items you're taking, whether you're aiming to take items that fit your board, or you're aiming to take items that are going to match and get you those sort of synergy scoring points when you deliver the items, is something you need to constantly be thinking about. But also then, because you've got 3 or 4 different mice with different bag sizes that can only hold a certain amount of stuff, you're also trying to sort of put the items into the bags in such a way that each bag is scoring the most points as possible when it delivers based on matching colors and matching symbols within that bag. So even if I have only tiles that I know are going to fit into my board to fill in those columns and fill in those rows, I still want to do my best to get those tiles into the right bags so as many same symbols and as many same colors can be in a single bag on delivery. And that's a very interesting system because it's not just about the mice picking up the right things, but also anytime the mice happen to occupy the same location, whether actually physically at that location or simply one at the location and one on the arm of the clock at that location, they can freely trade items between each other. So there's this real thought process of not only when am I picking up things, where am I picking up things, but how can I make it so that the mice are in the same space at certain times to rearrange and to trade and to change those things along the way. And that's not really all there is either, because not only is it what you're delivering for points and what you're placing out onto your board to fill in columns and rows, you've got 2 quest cards at all times. Well, one if you've completed one before a full cycle of the clock, but you've generally got 2 quest cards that you're aiming to complete. And quest cards are simply additional points that you're going to get for specific sets of items being delivered at the same time in a single action. So now, not only are you trying to maximize the right colors and right symbols matching in a bag, not only are you looking to pick up tiles that match the board so they can get placed once they've been delivered, but now also you're trying to match unique sets of items to get additional scoring bonuses. And these bonuses of like 5 or 7 points are generally pretty large, considering a normal delivery is going to be 3 or 4 tiles that might have 2 or 3 matching things, so you're going to be scoring, 6, 7 points on a normal delivery anyway. That's a giant boost. But the problem is if you focus too hard on matching colors and matching symbols, or you focus too hard on scoring those quests, then you're not paying attention to which tiles are going to fit onto your board. And if the tiles don't fit onto your board, then you're not getting those column and row scores, and those each score 5 points for you. So that's another giant boost in score at the end of the game. So you're really trying your best to do all of these things at the same time, sort of overlapping these scoring things whenever possible in order to maximize the scoring efficiency as much as possible. So that's sort of the core game of sort of how scoring works and what your goal is in the game. But in addition to that, there's another small goal, which is the chain of the clock. And you've got that guy that's climbing up that clock, and you can land on spaces along the way that push up that chain. And those chain scores are also pretty big. Now, climbing up the big chain, you're only going to score a 1 and a 2 point for 3 points. But every time you get to the top of that chain, you're scoring a huge chunk. The first time is 9 points, which is huge. The second is 7, and I don't remember, but I'm assuming 5, 3, and so on. So it is diminishing returns to continue pushing and pushing on that chain. But if you can at least hit that 9 and maybe hit that 7, that's, again, a big push, a big jump in points score. So while you're sort of managing this resource thing, every once in a while, if you can stop off at one of those spaces that pushes up the chain, then yay, even better. But again, those are your scoring goals. This is the core goal of the game, but how it's being done is what makes this game so unique. You've got this interesting rondelle style mechanism with the clock hand that's spinning around the clock. And the hour hand is just tracking rounds, but the minute hand is not only tracking the space that's activating at each turn, but also is allowing the mice to ride on the minute hand to get to the places it needs to get to in order to trigger or activate these different actions, and also in order to pick up the different item tiles and all of the locations around this clock. And this is a very unique system because it really does make you pay attention to what you're doing, how you're doing it, and most importantly, when you're doing it, because you're not moving backwards unless you get bumped off by a mouse jumping onto the hand and pushing you, in which case you're allowed to go one space backwards. But otherwise, you're not going backwards, which means that every time you go around the clock, aside from that scamp, which could potentially activate twice if the timing is exactly perfect or you have a favor card that lets you do so, you're only activating once per hour. Which means if I'm spending all of my time picking up items and spending time climbing up that chain and spending time swapping things at the spider web, which I'll talk about in just a second, it means that I'm not delivering. And if I'm not delivering, I'm not scoring points. But if I deliver too soon, then I'm scoring weaker points because I'm not getting those collection points for having matching colors and matching symbols and matching quests. So I really have to think about, in those 6 rounds that I have, how much time should I spend collecting items? How much time should I spend climbing up the chain? And when should I be paying attention to triggering those deliveries? And also along the way, how much attention should I be paying to trading so that maybe each mouse is picking up 1 or 2 tiles, but another mouse is passing past each of those mice and trading along the way, picking up a bunch of stuff, and finally getting to that end space and delivering a bunch all at once. So there is a lot of balance and thinking about timing, which is great because it's clock-based and that makes a whole lot of sense. But the point is, it's very much about not just figuring out what to collect and how to build sets and where to trade and which mouse does what, but also when. What order things are done, not only what order in a single round, but per round. If I do this on this round and I do this on the next round, then finally on the 3rd round I can go ahead and turn in all this stuff for a bunch of points. And it really does make it interesting, this whole layering of time-based action selection, and also not just selecting based on time, but selecting based on the combination of tile and action. So I talked about some of the action spaces let you trigger this chain climb. And all of the action spaces let you pick up a tile. But some of the action spaces let you search in the bag for a random tile. Some of those are for free. Some of them I've got to trade in a tile to search for more tiles. I've got the one mouse that lets me search for an additional tile to give me a better sort of random selection to choose from. And then most importantly, we've got these spaces that let me spend tiles to go to the spider web, to pick up wild tiles and or to pick up, sorry, not and or to pick up 2 of the tiles that are waiting for me on the spider web. And given the right combination of tiles, this could be great because I could throw away 1 tile and get 2 tiles that I really needed. And if I can't, I can always throw away 1 tile that I don't need to take a wild, which is great because the wild is not just replacing one thing. A wild is replacing all things, which means that I can spend a wild to match a color automatically. I can spend a wild to match a symbol automatically. I can use a wild as part of a quest automatically, assuming I have the other things for that quest. And the wild will absolutely get placed into my player board to match something in both a row and a column, which is awesome. So turning in 1 tile for a wild, which effectively works as 4 different possible things, really is powerful if you can make it work that you land on that space and get the thing that you need to get. There's also the favor card spaces that get you favor cards. And these favor cards can either be used as the action printed on them or could be used for a specific item thing. But that item, of course, is not a tile, which means it doesn't get played out on a player board, but it could mean an additional potentially 3 points if it matches color and symbol of something that you're already scoring on, plus the 1 point for having it be an item. But those actions can also be climbing up the chain. They could also be activating the scamp so it gets an additional turn. There's also the ability for the throw action to happen, which means that I don't need to have 2 mice in the same place in order to swap items, which could be huge if I'm setting up for a really big delivery turn from another mouse and I don't want to have to move something. I can just throw the stuff to them so they can deliver it all at once. And then I keep talking about delivery of the regular tiles. I haven't really talked about delivering the relics to Lord Cuckoo, which is awesome because I get points for the relics, but I also get a favor card, which means I get more points or a special ability later. And it also means then I jump ahead 1 to 3 spaces and trigger something else. So that means that mouse has now gotten 2 turns just by going to that space on a single round. And that is very powerful if, of course, the relic tiles come out. Because if you don't find any relics, you can't go to Lord Cuckoo to deliver, and all you get at Lord Cuckoo is a jump ahead 1 to 3 spaces. So that's not always the best thing, but it could also mean you skip over cats. I'll talk about the cats in just a second. But all of this building really leads to some interesting decisions about timing and which action to choose, because I haven't really mentioned this, but I kind of keep hinting at it. Each of these action spaces has a tile and an action. And realistically, whenever possible, it's always worth picking up a tile when you take that action, if there's still a tile there, which is always, unless 2 mice activate the same action in the same round. But what that means is, I need to pay attention to which tiles I need to collect, which items I need to collect. And then I need to time it and plan it out so that the items I'm collecting also correspond with an action that I want to get. Because if I take an item and it's the only item I have and it's at a location where I need to trade an item to do something and I don't want to get rid of that item, then that's probably not an action I want to take at that point. Unless I'm trading that item in for 2 things that I really want, or trading that item in for a wild that is that item but also something else at the same time. So there's this very nice sort of crunchy brain puzzle going on here without ever getting real heavy, without ever getting super, hard Euro style AP inducing kind of thinking patterns. It's still there. There's still a lot of thought. There's still a lot of interesting decision to be made on where I'm going, when I'm going, which mouse is going, and how I'm timing all of this thing out. Because the last thing here, especially in the solo mode that we are dealing with, are the cat paws. And the cat paws are going to move at the start of every round, but also anytime a mouse passes over the cat's paw on a minute hand, that cat's paw is going to work or going to activate or trigger as well. And the way those work is when you roll the dice, the cat paws get moved to a location, and if there's a mouse there, that mouse gets scratched. They lose a tile if they have one, and then move to the next space. And if that mouse is on the minute hand when they get scratched, they instantly jump to the next space and trigger that ability, which then ends their turn for that round. Which is interesting and also not so interesting. And this is my one sort of big negative, medium negative about this game, is that, first off, the placement of the cat's paws is very interesting and very fun, and I enjoy it being in the game because it means that in every round, 2 locations are blocked off, which means in every round there are 2 things that I won't be able to do, and that makes me think tactically, turn by turn, how can I adjust, how can I think about what I'm going to do in a different way, because now I can't go to the space I wanted to, I can't get the tile that I wanted to, so what else can I do instead in order to maximize my efficiency, in order to do the best that I can do on that given round based on what's blocked. And I also like that in the solo mode, I can think about, do I intentionally pass a mouse past the cat to hopefully move that cat so I can use that action space? Or do I intentionally not pass a mouse using the scurrier to jump ahead, or using just an action before a cat's paw so I don't pass a mouse past the cat's paw, so it doesn't move, so I don't get scratched, so that I'm safe for that turn? All of these are very interesting decisions to be made, and I really enjoy the way that it makes me think a little bit harder about what I'm doing rather than just go here, get this, go here, get this, deliver. Now I can't go here. Now I'm worried about getting scratched, and so on. The problem, though, is the scratching makes me lose tiles. And you saw in the playthrough that I played in this video, it happened a lot. It generally doesn't happen as much as it did in this video, and it kind of makes me a little upset that this is the playthrough you're seeing, because I don't want you to get the idea that I'm constantly being destroyed by this game. I did just play a playthrough again after I recorded my playthrough, and I scored something like 110 or 111 points and did very, very well in that playthrough. So it's not like the cat is always destroying me, but randomly it can. And it hits you, and it takes the tiles, and it pushes you to the next space. Now, I don't mind that it pushes you to the next space, because that, again, is forcing me to think on my feet, how can I adjust, how can I adapt to do the things I need to do now that I can't do the thing that I need to do. Except that if the cat keeps hitting the mouse that's holding the tiles that I really need, I'm in trouble. And this is completely random. It could hit 2 mice at the start of every round, and that's dangerous. Now, if it's my fault that I rode a mouse past the cat and then the cat attacks somebody, that's my fault, and I should plan around that, and that I agree with. But at the start of every round, to have 2 cats that could potentially steal 2 tiles away from me is harsh. So I kind of feel negatively about that starting every single time like that, because there's no protection. If there was a card in the game that let me have protection against the cat or some way that I could prepare that if I know that I'm here, I'm safe, it means I didn't get to do stuff. And if I wanted to do stuff, I had to push my luck to do that stuff. That would be great. But to completely have no control over when the cat is just going to hit me and steal my stuff away is a little bit too random for my tastes. Now, it doesn't destroy the game. I still really, really do enjoy what's going on here. It's just a little bit annoying that the point values could be so swingy, because on top of that, there's also the randomness about which tiles come out at each location, which actions go at each location, except for a couple of the ones that start in the same place, the delivery ones and the Lord Cuckoo one, and one other that I'm not remembering. Scamp at 1. Otherwise, everything is randomly placed out. The actions, the tiles on the spider web, and it could just be that a bunch of tiles are coming out that I don't care about. And it could be that all of the tiles I need are all coming out right at the right times, at all of the right locations. And depending on that randomness, I can score well or not score so well. And that's just the nature of the game. And that I don't really mind so much because of the tactical decisions, because of the way that you can manipulate, because of the way you can focus on scoring chains or scoring sets or scoring your player board or whatever. But to have this ability that at the start of every round the cat can just say nope is a little bit painful in a solo game where I'm aiming for a goal, a score threshold that could very well depend on how many tiles got taken and how many really good tiles got taken. And yeah, there's a little bit of way to protect yourself by padding your deck or padding your bags with things you don't really need, or delivering as often as possible so you don't sit there with lots of stuff. But ultimately, it does come down to randomness, and random decision making for me is not a bad thing, but random negative things hitting me, I don't feel so great about. So I have to say that that does lessen my opinion of the game a little bit, but I still do really enjoy the system. I still do really enjoy the decision space in this game. I do still really enjoy how all of these different mechanisms interlock to make for a fun experience. And it may be just that a house rule of a scratch pushes you, a scratch when triggered by a minute hand going by would make you lose a tile, but that scratch at the beginning of each round does not. Maybe that's the way to fix it. I don't know. But ultimately, I'm still really enjoying this game. I still think this is a game that you should take a look at. But if you are worried about randomness, especially negative randomness in a game like this one, again, you might keep that in mind when taking a look at this game. I hope that this video was helpful. As always, I do ask that if you did enjoy this video that you like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below. Again, I do have to say one more time, because I did pick this up with my Noble Knight sponsorship, definitely go check out Noble Knight if you're looking to buy some games online. If you're looking to sell some games, they take away all the work. They pay postage. You pack it, you send it, they give you store credit or money. Great system. Also means they've got lots of great used and hard to find games. If you do go shopping there, please, as always, remember to use my link down below because it does help out the channel. Thanks again. I'll see you all next time.